Today we're going to take a look at a super and incredibly unique map where every single room is different. Well, that's if you can even call these rooms. In a very Kubert style, every single one of these tiles, or cubelets I guess is what I'm going to call them, has a different feel and look to it. And we're going to take a look at all of them in this really cool map. And first up, you're going to notice we have a Half-Life 1 inspired one. Already starting things off with a really cool idea and design. And yes, that was G-Man. He does appear as you slowly approach the corner of the room. All of these assets are very Half-Life 1 inspired, and I believe they might even be from the game. But I think it's so cool how they're able to capture like a small space of Half-Life 1, and that's going to be a common theme with all of these different rooms. I also really do want to thank Smigo for suggesting this in my Discord. This is the cubes. And we're going to take turns going through each part of this map to see what all of it looks like. The next room is very, well, Counter-Strike 1.6 inspired, I believe. At least that's the kind of feel I'm getting from it. Now, these rooms are not all that big, but I love how they're kind of like these small slices of whatever the artist is trying to capture. And this really is kind of a work of art when you look at it as a whole. Next up, we have this kitchen style look, and I love it. The sunbeams coming through the window. Very reminiscent of the early 2000s during summer. At least that's the kind of feel I'm getting from it. But there's not much to do in a lot of these rooms. However, there are a ton of cool secrets that we're going to discover as we go on. But some of these rooms are plain, and that's totally fine. Plus, I mean, we have a cat. That, by the way, has a secret. Speaking of secrets, we have an AK-47 with some C4 explosives behind it. You know, for that rainy day on an early 2000s morning. Next up, we have this really cool office space. We got some miniature models of some of the vehicles in Half-Life 2. If you're very keen-eyed, you're going to notice we have the Combine Chopper and some other cars on the shelf. Now, this is actually one of my favorite rooms. I don't know, I love the simplicity of it. We have a window here that is very, very bright. We have a really cool-looking computer, and we have that awesome chopper from Half-Life 2, which sadly you cannot interact with. But over here you can see here are those vehicles that I was mentioning earlier, and, well, a random skull for decor. Moving on down to the floor before, we have a gun shop. Tons of weapons, and even a secondary room that actually connects to the next room over. Alright, now this one is pretty cool. We have all these weapons here, which, by the way, you can even take completely off the shelf. Now, unfortunately, you cannot equip them. They are just props. But you can totally just break this and watch all the guns fall for whatever reason. We also have the typical storefront here, and we have an interior room, which has a pretty cool billboard detailing the unfortunate 7-hour war. We also have this cool crate here that's going to give you grenades, and it is functional. We have some other knickknacks and doodads, and then we go on to the next room, which is again another store. I believe it's supposed to replicate some sort of typical grocery store. There's really not much to this. In fact, this might be the most plain room on the entire map. But hey, we got those good eats like the Half-Life 2 MRE package. Next up, we have another office space, but this one's going to be a lot more tame, and dare I even say plain. Not really much going on with this space, but sometimes simplicity is a good thing. But you see, there's a lot more than meets the eye. For this might even be the biggest secret on the entire map. Taking a step into this office space, we no-clip into the Backrooms. Because of course we do, why wouldn't we? We are now in this very creepy-looking corridor that is almost indicative of that of a classroom. Definitely not weird at all, and as we explore through this room, we're gonna notice it's not really all that large, although certainly a tad bit foreboding. Alright, going on through, we're gonna no-clip once again into a dark room with, well, a random dead body. Don't know what he's doing here, but as we break through these boards, we're going to find that we have entered into a new space. But we are one level down, so we're gonna go back up. But I thought might as well, since this does connect, a pretty cool outside area with tons of trash. Going right back to where we left off, we can see we have a bathroom. Although certainly something horrific has happened here. Let's go ahead and take a deeper look. And here we are, and if you take a closer look, you might even see your own reflection. Now sadly, I don't think there's really anything much to this. We do have the supposed murder weapon, or weapons in this case. And you can see there is the skeleton just chilling in a bathtub of muck, which I would definitely not recommend jumping into, by the way. Moving on down a floor, we have yet another office space, although this one is a bit more cluttered and, dare I say, a bit more endearing. I actually do like this better than the other office spaces we've had. I don't know, maybe it's kind of nostalgic. I love all the different props that you can interact with, like this old CD-ROM. Oh my god. Remember when that was a thing? Probably not. Anyway, you can see we have some other things on the shelf, radios, cool stuff. There could be some secrets, although from my own exploration, I wasn't really able to find a whole lot, but hey, maybe you guys might be able to. Next up, we have your typical living room affair. Not much going on here. We have the classic Gary Newman picture on the wall, and then a few pieces of furniture, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, really not much to go on. You can't go into the door, unfortunately, even though it is considered a dynamic entity. It's not letting me do anything. But you could totally just take this off the wall if you wanted. And now we are back to that outside park space that is littered to hell. So now we can see how it all does connect. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one, and there's really not much to this, another outside one, but we have a sewer entrance. Or I guess you could call it a well, but well, you're gonna find out that what's at the bottom isn't really something you would ever want to drink. And yes, there is no way out. This truly is the end. And now we are down to the last floor with a prison-inspired room. Once again, not really much to this. We have a really odd-looking door, and we also have a, well, padlock you can break. Now, you'd think you would be able to enter the door, but sadly, you cannot. Although you can, of course, no-clip through. But once you do no-clip through, there's not much to it. I mean, you can break the toilet. That's kind of cool. Next up, we have this really fancy-looking living place with a really cool working fireplace, and some typical necessities on the shelf, like another skull and more weapons. Yeah, there's really not much to this. I do feel like this bottom floor is kind of lacking. There's not nearly as much really cool stuff, but again, if you like the theme, that could be enough. Taking a step into the modern era, we have a very, very modernistic looking living space, and I like it. We got some cool arts, big flat screen TV, and a really fancy and odd looking couch. I don't think I would ever want this in my house, but you know what? The art looks pretty cool, which you can of course take it off the wall. And by the way, if you do end up falling off this map, you will find that you will just fall, and fall, and fall. Shout out to Construct, by the way. And last up, we have your classic torture/dungeon room. Don't even want to know what kind of horrific atrocities could have happened in here. But again, really not much to this. This is one of the more tame rooms, although again the theme is anything but, if you ask me. And there you guys have it. That was the Cubes. A really cool map and incredibly innovative and interesting. I really, really did love that backroom secret. Definitely did not expect that, but what do you guys think down below? Is this a map that you'd be interested in checking out? If there's a map that you want me to showcase in the future, let me know down below. But as always, if you guys want to leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. You all know the drill. Links will be down below. And until next time, my friends, thanks for watching and farewell.